Hello guys, welcome to the first part in a new series of tutorials where we're going to create a simple Lego figure. So we're going to be creating this in 3D Studio Max and probably painting it in Substance Painter with the intention of making a low poly model for use in a games engine or maybe an animation. So we're not going to go really high poly with this. I've given it a complexity rating of 2 stars, so we're going to keep it quite simple modeling techniques. We're not going to go full detailed on the model with things such as the holes in the back of the legs or anything like that. We're going to keep it quite simple. So part one, we're going to just set up our reference imagery and then make the head. And I'll explain why we do that and how we do that in just a second. First thing we want to do after we've opened 3D Studio Max, I want to get some reference imagery on the go. So I've got a couple of schematic images here, which for my students, I'll make those available online as usual. But for anyone else out there, you should be able to find these easy enough if you just search Google. What I've also done is just grabbed a few actual photos, some reference photos, just to get a wee look at how the pieces of the Lego man actually look, so we can try and replicate them as best we can. Always good to know, and especially if you are going high poly instead, to see just how much of a wee bevel you get in some of these edges and see how shiny they should be when it comes to texturing them, things like that. This is what I mean here. We've got the wee holes in the top of the head and we've got the holes in the back of the legs here and on the bottom of the legs. We're not going to model those in this series. Maybe what I might do is maybe make an extra video to the side at the end of the modeling portion and make those high poly assets. But for my students or for beginners, we're just going to keep it quite simple to begin with, okay? So get your reference imagery, get your schematics, and I'll show you what to do with those now. So we come into 3D Studio Max, and what I want to do is get 2 planes, and I'm going to make these just a 1 segment by 1 segment is all they need to be, but the important thing is I want them to be square. So I'm going to make this 50 centimeters by 50 centimeters. In fact, that's way bigger than an actual Lego figure. An actual Lego figure is only about 4 centimeters. But when we have it in proportion, we can scale it down later. That's totally fine. So we're going to make this plane, and what I'm going to do is hit N on my keyboard to bring up my material window, and I'm going to call this one just front. All I want to do is add my schematic to this material. So I'm going to come down here to the diffuse slot and click on the little grey button beside it. And when we get this material/map browser, we're going to click on bitmap. And then all we want to do is we want to go to, where are we? Where am I looking? I just want to navigate to that folder, so bear with me 1 wee second, just where I have those reference images. An important thing with the reference images themselves is that they should also be square files. So I took those schematics and I brought them into Photoshop and just lined them up so they were square files and the figures were in the middle. So let me see here. Getting to see all my lovely work files here. Where are we? 3D modeling. I have a very organized filing system, but it means it takes me half an hour to navigate through it. There we go. So we've got our schematic files here. As you can see, PNG file, dimensions of 1024 by 1024, so square image. And the reason for that is if I have a square image going on a square plane, it'll keep those proportions nice. So just hit OK, open that. And I'm going to apply that to this plane, and you'll see it turns grey. All I have to do is click this little button here. It's a little blue sort of checkered circle, show shaded material and viewport, and when I click that, that will allow us to actually see this little guy in here. So we just want to repeat that process on a separate material slot, and we'll call this one side. Click our little button beside the diffuse box, click on bitmap again, and hopefully that same folder will be open up. There we are, yep. Just scroll down to my other one, which is the side view. And what I want to do then is just duplicate this plane. I will select my move tool, hold shift to create a duplicate of it, and make sure it's just as a copy. Hit OK, and then I'll just replace that material with the side material. And again, I'll just have to activate my little show shade material. If you're new to materials, all I was doing was clicking and dragging this across. Just click it and drag it right on the object. There's also a little button here, just assign material to selection. So with your object selected, click the material and just click that little button. That will put that material on there as well. So there we go. We can close the material editor now. What I want to do is rotate these 90 degrees vertically. So if I do this, whoop, it's going all over the show. Try and get the axis. If you highlight over, you'll probably not see it. If I zoom out a bit, if we highlight over the axis, we can zoom it correctly. But the problem is, going to be very hard to rotate it exactly 90 degrees like that. So what I'll do is just activate my angle snaps up here, this little blue icon. And now we can rotate that 90 degrees perfectly. 90 degrees, oops. Sometimes that's a little bit glitchy. There we go. 90 degrees perfectly. And we'll also turn this one horizontally 90 degrees this way. And there we go. So now I will just move this one back a little bit. And what we have here is a little scene where we can see the Lego man from the side and from, well, I think it's actually the back. Can't tell if it's the back or the front, but it shows us both. And it'll do our job. So there we go. Now, if I actually move these over, you'll see that they are both lining up perfectly. So height to height, that was just because I took time and done that in Photoshop myself, made sure they lined up. If you get other schematics online, you may need to just go in and tweak them and make sure they line up correctly. So there we go. We can actually leave these a bit of separation. It's actually nice to have a bit of separation in them. So what I want to do now is I want to make this piece by piece, and I'm going to start with the head. Now, the good thing is the head looks exactly the same from both the front and the sides. It doesn't really matter which one we go to. But what we can do here, if I look at my left viewport, I can hit F3 and we will actually see, instead of being a wireframe, we will see the textured version of the solid models. So to do that might be handy to have, and then I can flip between the two of them here. And I'll always have this left image here. So I'm going to start with a cylinder. And let me see if I can just get a good angle here. Draw a little cylinder. It's probably a bit too big, but it will do fine. I just want to move this, come to my front viewport here. I'll just move this up, make sure it's roughly correctly sized. Now, if I hit Alt-X on my keyboard, I can actually make this transparent, which is really handy because it means I can still see the blueprint behind it. So here we go. What I want to do is just line that up a bit there. And I'm just going to eyeball this. It's not going to be millimeter perfect. That's not the intention with this tutorial. But what I'm going to do is eyeball it. And over here on my height, I'm just going to shunt this up a bit until it's about the size of that biggest cylinder. And then bring the radius down a little bit. Maybe just a tiny bit more. And I'll zoom in just to see how we're going. Oops. That's not too bad there. It's close enough that a blind man on a galloping horse won't notice the mistakes. There we go. That's the level of accuracy we're going to. So that is fine. What I can do now is hit Alt-X again. And if we look here as well, we can see we actually have the front viewport. We can do the same thing. Hit F3 with this viewport selected, F3, and we can see there, same size. What we'll do is we'll just move that over a bit just to make sure it lines up nicely. And if we need to, hit Alt and X on your keyboard, but that's okay. Alt X to make it solid again. So depending on how low poly or how high poly we want to go, we can increase the number of segments here, number of sides. 18, probably fine, but just for the sake of it, we will bump this up to about 32. Won't do any harm. You see that's a lot smoother along the top there. Okay, height segments, cap segments. I'm going to put 2 cap segments in here. If I press F4 to toggle on my wireframe overlay, if I have just 1 cap segment, whoops, we have nothing on top. That's kind of hard to work with, so it's always nicer to have a little bit on top. And I'm actually just going to bring my height segments down to just down to 1 for now. And here's what I'm going to do next. I want to get the little bevel on the head, and I want to pull this top piece out. So I'm going to right click and convert to editable poly. And now I can actually start playing with these individual polygons. So first thing I'm going to do, I will pull out the little dot at the top, a little stud I believe is the technical term. I'm going to go into vertex mode, click this very center vertex, and then control click on polygon mode. Rather than me selecting the individual polys, this is a quick little shortcut. If I select the vertex, then control click on polygon, it will select all the polygons that vertex has connected to it. We can do the same with edges, we can do the same, deselect vertices from polygons, etc. Just control click when you're clicking across and you can select anything those bits are attached to. So there we go. Now I want to just extrude this out. This is my extrusion, so it can make 10 centimeters. That's far too high. So we just pull this down. Again, just eyeballing it. It doesn't need to be exactly perfect. That looks okay there. And we'll hit OK. Now, a couple of wee things. If we zoom in here, we can see that this area is nice and smooth. Well, this one that we've extruded out is kind of faceted, and it doesn't have that nice smoothing. So that's easy enough to fix. We're just going to kind of turn our camera to the side. With polygon mode selected, we will select all of these guys. And we just want to apply a smoothing group to them. So we will come down here and just pick any one at all. And you see it turns blue when it's activated. If we click off, nice and smooth. Perfect. So what shall we do next? Just to round this off, what I'll do is I'll go into my edge mode. I scroll back up to the top here. Now, if this gets a bit annoying trying to scroll up and down, you can see mine's a little bit glitchy and it slows down a bit when so much is going on. That can be a wee bit annoying trying to do that over and over again, just to click on edge mode. So instead of clicking on it, what I'm going to do is press the number 2 key on my keyboard, and that will automatically select edge mode. Press number 1 to select vertices. Press number 2 to select edges. 3 will do borders, but we never really use borders that much. And 4 will use polygons. And you can see there actually maintains the previous selection that we have, which is kind of handy. So just shortcut key, we can press number 2 to get our edges. What I'm going to do, I want to add a little chamfer around this whole edge here. So rather than selecting every single one of these, which would be really boring and painstaking, I'll just double click one of them. So see that, select one. If we double click instead, just anywhere at all, select that whole ring. And all I want to do is add a little bit of a chamfer to this, and just soften that edge ever so slightly. So hit chamfer, and you can see that's far too much of a chamfer. We don't need that much, but we'll just bring this down. And we'll just click this button just the tiniest wee bit, or maybe just, let me see. Oh, playing catch up here. 0.09. Yeah, that's not too bad. That's okay, that's just a nice little bit, and it means that when we go to render this out, we're looking at it under game engine, that little chamfer will get a nice little glance of the light off that, look a bit better. We could, if we want, if I turn off my wireframe overlay, you get a better look at this guy. We could apply smoothing to one of these edges if we want, but maybe just keep it that nice sharp edge for now. Press F4 to turn that back on. Okay, what I want to do now is sort of the same thing to these two edges here, the top and the bottom. So it's going to be a bit hard to see how much we need. So again, I'm going to hit Alt and X on my keyboard. And with edge mode still selected, double click this guy. And we're just going to chamfer again. But this time, instead of doing just one level of chamfer, we're actually going to raise this up to, let me see, Depending on how low poly we want, we could keep this low, maybe 2 or 3, but I think we get a nice result if we make it 4. And apologies because my computer is going very, very slow here. So it's just trailing a little bit beneath my button presses. So there we go, I'm going to go 4, and then again just eyeball, make sure this line comes down to the end of the chamfer, so we can see this size we have not quite right. So we're just going to eyeball that and drag it up until it is about right. So that's not too bad there. Yeah, I'm happy enough with that. 2.31 centimeters, okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to come down to the bottom now. I'm going to double click that edge. I'm going to hit chamfer again. And what this will do is it will maintain the same stats we had before, the same settings in here, 2 centimeters, 4 segments. And we just have a little look. Yep, that fits more or less perfectly. Not quite perfect there, but close enough for our work. So there we go. And we'll just hit a little tick there, and that's okay. Last thing we need to do now is extrude out this bottom base here. So you can't really see it, but that little red line, this little ring here, is just about the right size. So what we will do is we're going to press number 4 on our keyboard, although you won't see that, but number 4 to select polygon mode. And then, actually no, I'm not, that's a lie, I'm going to select vertex mode first. I'm going to select this little center vertex. And then I'm going to control click polygon mode. Control click polygon mode. Don't think the number shortcut keys will work there, unfortunately. So I've selected this. What I actually want to do is select both of these rings. And if I just hit this little grow button here, that'll automatically select that second ring for us. So again, rather than manually selecting every single polygon, by control clicking and then hitting the grow button, we can very, very quickly select this large number of polygons. As long as the topology is nice for it, these are good shortcuts. Okay, so I've got those, and I'm just going to extrude and bring that down. And again, just eyeballing on our left viewport how far that should be. That's not too bad there. It can be hard to kind of get this precise when you're zoomed out. Do you know what? We'll just hit OK there for now. And what we can do is we can zoom in a lot closer just with our move tool selected here. And just do a bit of fine tuning on that afterwards. There we go. So that's looking pretty good. The only thing I may want to do, if we were to look really, really, really closely, because this is a curved surface coming down here, there might just be the tiniest wee amount of a curve at the bottom here because we took 2 rings. So what I will do just to make sure this is absolutely perfect, I'm just going to select all of these, and you can maybe actually see there. No, you can't really see, but just to make sure we have everything looking correctly and make sure these are flat, I'm just going to scroll down here with the vertices selected. I want a vertices mode and select these vertices. I'm just going to scroll down. We'll have these little alignment buttons, the 3 little buttons, X, Y, Z. What these will do is make sure that all of these vertices, if they're all in slightly different heights, we can just set them to the same height. So we need to be careful which axis we take here. I believe it should be the Z axis. And it won't look like we've done anything there because there's such a little difference in the gap, but it's actually just aligned them all. To give you a demonstration of what's actually happening there, I'll click one of the other axes, I'll click the X axis, and you'll see what happens. Smoosh, they all align along one line. They all now have the same X value. Now obviously we don't want that to happen, so just go to Control Z to undo that. But if we hit Y, you'll see now they all align to the same Y value. And what we want was the same Z value, the same vertical value. So now they're all on the same plane here. That's exactly what we want. Okay, so we'll go top level here a little second. We will press F4 and we'll press Alt X to show us our model again. Whoops, make sure it's selected there. Alt X. So not looking too bad there. We just have that same issue with the faceting. So we'll go back to polygon mode, and we will select this horizontal poly, or sorry, select horizontal to get that ring of polys. Or if it's a wee bit awkward and you find it hard to select that, what we're going to do is select one of them, hold the shift key on your computer, and you'll see it will actually highlight the whole ring, and then just click, and that will select that whole ring. Some of you might find that easier. And again, same thing, we scroll down, same thing as before, just scroll down, we get the smoothing groups here, and we have all these numbers. Any one of them at all, really doesn't matter, just pick a smoothing group, and that will smooth it out. And very final thing then, we'll do, not quite as necessary down here because we're not going to see that head so much. But if I just turn on my F4 again and hit number 2 on my keyboard to take me into edge mode again. So there we are in edge mode. I just again double click this little ring here, go to chamfer. Now it saved those previous settings, we don't want that. Bring it way down, and we'll bring the number down to 1. And I believe we were about 0.09 the last time. So I'll just manually type in 0.09, or we could even just go 0.1. Hit OK. Just gives that tiny little rim there at the bottom. We don't necessarily need it, but just add it. And there we go. If I hit Alt X, let me see. We can see actually there's a little stub that comes up inside. If you're wanting to be really accurate, we could take this little inner ring here and extrude it in the way to give us the kind of show us the hollow shape of the head. But we'll not do that because we don't need to go to that level of detail for this little model. If it was a product design or something like that, yes, we would model that detail. But if we're just making a little game, especially if it's like a mobile game with very low polygons, we're never going to see the inside of the head, or we're never going to see that level of detail. So absolutely don't worry about it. So we'll just right click here, whoops, go top level, Alt X on the keyboard just to bring it back. If we select our model, Alt X, there we go. And that is our Lego head, good to go. So we're going to leave this video here, and in the next video we will tackle some of the other sections. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed that, hope you learned something from that, and I will see you for the next video.